Hello, and welcome to episode 27 of Aunt Lainey's Kitchen. I am your host, Aunt Lainey, and we have a lot to go over today. I am currently recording this podcast in Vermont. I'm in South Burlington, Vermont, on my dream trip. I've been trying to go to Vermont since 2011, and I finally made it here. I'm so excited. I'm going to do a future podcast about my time in Vermont, like the Vermont segment, maybe even two segments on Vermont. And tomorrow, because I'm recording this on a Friday, I am going to be headed to Montpelier, and that's the capital. It's like 30, 40 minutes away. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to spend the night in Montpelier, and then I'm going to come back to South Burlington for a day and explore some more. And then I'm going to fly out on a Monday. And this has been such a great trip so far. I mean, it's just been really a really good trip, and I've gotten to explore, and I've also kind of learned a lot about how I like to travel. Once upon a time, I did travel a lot, and I actually have a podcast, Quaint and Cozy Casey, that I talk more about travels and stuff like that. But I just want to give you a little overview. And then, life happened, family happened, all that stuff, and so now I'm back, in the traveling mode, and I'm like, I'm going to dedicate one plane trip out of Kansas City to myself. I'm going to fly someplace. And then the rest of the year, I'm going to make sure to take at least a couple of trips a quarter, right? Like every few months, try to take a trip, all that stuff. And I'm going to do it locally, like in the Kansas, Missouri area. That's kind of where my focus is going to be. Who knows? I might branch into Oklahoma, but or Nebraska. I do love Omaha, but for right now I'm kind of focused. And you know what about Iowa? But I'm right now I'm kind of focused on Kansas and Missouri. So many great local places, that I want to see, and maybe I haven't seen them since I was a kid, or maybe I just never made it there past stopping at a gas station. So that's kind of like on my list. And of course, they've got food in those places. So I will definitely be giving more dispatches, and I might even learn how to do some recipes. And I was talking at a party and not too long ago, and I was like, I'm just, it's one of those things where I love to cook, and yet I'm kind of like doing the least when it comes to cooking right now. And I think it's because of, the weather changing, all that stuff. But I kind of have a fatigue on the way I was cooking. So that's, again, another future episode where I'll talk to you about, what I'm doing to try to like, combat that food burnout, because I eat all the time. I mean, we're always eating, but and I write about food, I think about food, and sometimes I do get burned out on cooking. I just want to be realistic about that, and I feel like that's its own show, right? Maybe I'll call it the do the least episode when it comes to food. Okay, now let's get to something that is not the least, and that is Foodie Fun in June. So it's June already, and I feel like it's not that long ago that I was extolling the virtues of those crisp autumn days and letting everyone know what October, means to me. And it's June already. So here we go. And one of the things about June I really love about living in the Midwest is that, there's always the food festivals just start. I mean, they're all year round, but man, June, they really show out in the June, July, August, September, October kind of things. I mean, they're just like, it's like nonstop, like two, three a weekend. And I was really kind of bummed because I planned this Vermont trip, and a while back, and then I saw, like, I was like, for the days I booked, they were having like something in Gladstone, right? The Food Art Drink Festival is going on, and I'll be in Vermont. And I know some friends going to that, so I'll have to like kind of talk to them and see, what their thoughts were of it. But stuff like that is going on all over the city all the time, every weekend, even on weeknights. There is something going on in June that has to do with food. Now, I wanted to go to the Festa Italiana and I missed it this year. And the thing is I was still in town, but I had so many things that I had stacked. And I was like, and then the weather was kind of iffy too. So I was like, you know what? I don't think that, and I knew I was going to be leaving for Vermont. I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it. Like I can't do that Sunday, and that I was going to be leaving in a couple days. I was like, that's too much. I'm still getting, ready for the trip because I realized this is the first time I've traveled by plane in 2 years. So almost 2 years. So I was like, oh my gosh, I was trying to, and of course I overpacked. But that is for another that's for another podcast episode again. But I did miss it this year, but I saw the pictures. My friends went, and I was kind of strolling through Instagram. I scroll, I stroll, I do whatever on Instagram, and I saw all these people just having a blast. And so it looks like a lot of fun. And so I've been trying to go for the past few years. I think next year I'm really going to lock in and make it a priority to go because the food looked amazing and the music and all of this people having fun. It looked great. Um, so then I want to update you on a past guest, the Casey Cozy Coffee Shops duo that on Instagram, Troy and Vanessa Apostle. They were one of my first guests on this podcast. They were on a sabbatical, life got busy. And so they returned on their Instagram account recently to talk about Uplift Coffee in Lawrence, Kansas. Now, Lawrence, Kansas, for me, has some of the cutest little coffee shops. And I always remember that as I'm driving either towards Topeka or coming back from Topeka, I'm like, I need to stop. I need to stop. And then, of course, I'm running around, but I'm like, it would be nice because I recently went to the Lawrence Farmers Market for the first time. I feel like everyone keeps telling me you've been there, you've been there. I'm like, okay. But like in recent history, I stopped by for the first time and I'm like, downtown Lawrence is so cute. And there's also other, parts of Lawrence that are pretty cozy too. Like I really need to focus on maybe doing like a coffee shop kind of like, focus on that because the weather is warmer. So maybe that's something that I can do like, once a month, head over to Lawrence and check out one of their coffee shops. That might be something that I swear that duo really inspires me because anytime they're anywhere, they don't even have to be in the Kansas City area. They're like, oh, we got to go to a coffee shop. And that's like their thing. Now, what else am I looking forward on my foodie bingo card for June? Well, as I said, I'm in Vermont, so today I'm going to be doing a cheese making class. So I'm pretty excited about that. I still need to try the maple syrup. Now, I've had Vermont maple syrup because I lived in Rhode Island. They sell that stuff and all that. And again, the internet, you can get it delivered, all that stuff. But I do want to like, while I'm in Vermont, I might as well have a taste of it. That's kind of my goal too. And then seafood. And again, I lived on both coasts for a while, so I am, familiar with the seafood that happened in New England. It's pretty good. And then I also got some recommendations from the staff and like for some of the places that they like to go to, so I'm excited about that. And then some new places I'm going to get to try is Lazia. Now again, it's not a new place because it's been there for a little bit, but it's new to me. And I'm also looking at the Antler Room, so I'm excited about that. I believe that's going to be in July. And I think I have one more that I'm eyeing in August, but I'm not sure yet. So again, always wanting to try the new places for dinner. And then also, I know that for some people, dinner with childcare, all that, they can't get out for dinner. So I always, for myself, like when I couldn't get out for dinner, I was like, okay, where can I go for lunch or where can I go to grab like a quick sandwich? All those things that's kind of like what I did. So I would kind of, stay up and be able to keep supporting like my need to try new foods because that's important. And also, kind of like throwing my support for local businesses, local food businesses. Something else I want to do more of wineries. Oh my gosh, you guys, wineries are coming out now. They are like, there's a place, and I don't know which, like off the top of my head, and I apologize, but they're doing comedy at the vineyard. And I love that concept, right? Vineyards for me, like the local wineries, um, they are just for me the staple. Like I love meeting people out there, and I sometimes forget. Like I'll go like, once a year, and I'm like, oh, I got to go to more wineries. And then of course I just float away, and it happens to people. I know I'm not the only person that happens to. So I'm trying to make an effort to try to go to like at least one winery a month, whether that's near me in the Northlands or kind of out south in the County area. I really want to try to do that because it's important for me because I do like to drink wine and I like the vibe of wineries. Wineries remind me of when I lived in California. And I know it sounds so silly because, obviously I'm not in California anymore, but it just kind of reminds me of just kind of sitting out there and the breeze and outside and with your friends and all the stuff. So I always associate wineries with a lot of fun and some good food too, like some good, access to food. I know now people are kind of more wineries are serving food. They're doing at least like a good nibble board that you can kind of nibble on, or they're even letting you bring in your own food. So yeah, that's something that obviously you want to call ahead or look at their website to see if you're able to bring your own food. But I really do appreciate that. And then something else, obviously, I talked about the food festivals early on. I got to hit a food festival. I went to the ethnic festival that usually happens in August, a couple years ago, and that was a lot of fun. I'm really glad that I did that because I was always trying to go and then would get rained out or or it'd be so hot and it was really hot when I went, but I just soldiered through anyway. But I know that there's going to be like a food festival that I just have to kind of look into and see kind of what's going on there. And So I was looking kind of online because sometimes I feel like I can't find things because I'm focused on one kind of like experience and then I forget. I'm like, oh, you know what? There are other sites that actually um are helpful with that. And so I found a site, festivalsguidesandreviews.com, and it's like backslash Missouri festivals. I found that and they have everything listed out. Like, I mean, it's I shouldn't say everything, but it's an exhaustive list of different kind of festivals and stuff that are going on. And a lot of them are kind of they're food based. It's not just an activity. There's actually going to be food there as well, more than like the standard food it looks like. So I mean, I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. This is like something that I kind of need to be paying attention to and checking in on a regular basis, so I can hit some of these food goals. And so yeah, I mean, I was like, oh wow, that's kind of exciting. Something else, fruit picking, strawberries and blueberries in June. That's what a lot of the places have. I've been fruit picking before. I did it as a kid because we had mulberry bushes on my grandparents' farm. But also, I did it I went back and I did it as an adult a few years ago, and it was a lot of fun. I probably won't go this year. Um, because that was a lot and I ended up having to share it with people and all that stuff, but it was a lot of fun. It's one of those group activities that you kind of go out there obviously where like people have to wear like the proper gear, right? You don't want to be sitting there like getting scratched by things, but you also don't want to like be so covered up that you're gonna sweat, like super sweat and get you know uh, just a wee bit faint from it. So, again, it's one of those things where you just have to kind of people have to pay attention to like I went to the websites and I just read to make sure I was bringing all the right things because I didn't want to drive all the way out there and then like not be able to participate or it was like not a good experience for me. Another quest that I'm taking on is a food truck quest because it's been a little bit since I've been to a food truck. So I feel like that's got to be my future, but I'm not going to go on a full-on quest with it. I'm just going to be like, huh, let me look up some local food trucks and see, where this food truck's going to be at. And then just kind of build a day around that. That's what I do a lot of times. I'll have a quest. And I'll be like, oh, it's going to be on this side of town. Okay, what museums over there? What cute stores are over there? That's kind of how I choose things. I just kind of build it around one concept or in this case, I'll probably build it around a food truck quest. And then a cooking class. I was looking at cooking classes because I haven't taken one in a while. And I was like, I know that they have them obviously all over town. Green Hills Library up north, they have the cooking classes available for people, but they do book up fast. And then I noticed a lot of other places are kind of like, and doing some searches, I'm like, oh wow, there's a lot of cooking classes there. Okay. Just places around town. So it's something where it's like for me, I have a couple places that I always look at, but then I just do a straight internet search to see maybe there's a place that I'm missing because it's really easy for me to get caught up in like a routine because I'm so busy. I'm like, oh, this routine works and this is the dedicated path, but sometimes I do miss out because I get so focused on the dedicated path. Okay, and next up, we are going to talk about the localish foodie content creators and news when we come back.